Good evening, you're watching The Buck Stops Here. I'm Vishnu Shom. On the program this evening, charge sheeted once again by the Haryana government, the IAS officer Ashok Khemka, the man who went after Robert Vadra's land deals, breaks his silence and joins us live to tell us why he believes there is a conspiracy against him. Khemka, who's been transferred 45 times in 20 years, has been accused of failing to meet sales targets when he was managing director of the Haryana Seeds Development Corporation. In fact, Khemka was shunted out of this post, replaced by a man 4 ranks his junior, within days of his filing a complaint with the CBI on how 2 agencies which provided seeds were involved in rampant corruption. But there is good news on this front. Just today, the CBI has started to inquire into his complaints. They are looking into it officially. But the larger question remains, is the witch hunt against Ashok Khemka continuing? And what about the argument of the Haryana government that they are well within their right to charge sheet any officer, any government officer serving under them if it so warrants? But first, another key newsmaker, PC Parak, the former coal secretary, joins us. PC Parak, along with Kumaramangalam Birla, has been accused of criminal conspiracy and criminal misconduct in connection with the Birla company Hindalco being given rights to a coal block in Odisha. Parak has already gone on record saying if he is a conspirator, as has been alleged, then so is the Prime Minister. But why then is the name of the Prime Minister missing in the CBI FIR? The FIR says that the decisions of Parak have been approved by a so-called competent authority. We ask, who is this competent authority? Since above Parak, there was the coal minister, a portfolio held by none other than Dr. Manmohan Singh. Mr. Parak, thank you very much for joining us, sir. Firstly, the CBI now says that you failed to explain why Hindalco was given a coal block after the initial rejection. You were part of that initial rejection. Is this correct, sir, that the answer that you gave to the government, to the CBI, I should say, was insufficient?
No, it is a matter of opinion. I mean, I have a different point of view, they have a different point of view.
Sir, the FIR copy of which we have a copy of, uses the word competent authority in a couple of instances. The first, when Hindalco's application was rejected, and the second time is when the application was accepted. Who does competent authority refer to?
Normally, competent authority in the context of government decision is the minister in charge of the department.
So, say directly, sir, does the competitive authority refer to the Prime Minister?
Minister in charge of the department at a relevant point of time.
So, in other words, sir, it is the Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh. You aren't saying this directly. Why not, sir?
Apparently, that's what I am saying. It is the minister in charge of the department, and at that point of time, minister was Prime Minister.
Okay. So, that's a very important statement over there, because what you're saying for the first time clearly establishes what has now been a controversy in the media for the last 48 hours. And that controversy has been, why is it that your name has been mentioned over there, the name of Kumaramangalam Birla has been mentioned over there, and the third person involved is referred to as competent authority? Why isn't the name of the Prime Minister, or at least his designation, been included or mentioned in the FIR of the CBI? Is it because he is being shielded? So, Mr. Parak, that's an important point that you have clarified. You believe, as the coal secretary at that particular time, the competent authority, the man who signed off on the decisions that you have taken in this particular case, was none other than Dr. Manmohan Singh. Sir, if we go through the statement, the first instance when it was rejected, it says the then Secretary, Ministry of Coal, processed and examined the allegations and recommended the allegations to recommended that this particular coal block should not be mined by Hindalco. It then later goes on to say that the proposal for amendments placed before the competent authority, who approved the proposed changes. So, once again, sir, this refers to none other than Dr. Manmohan Singh. I just want to get this clearly from you, sir.
No, I don't want to comment on that. What all I said in my statement was that if there is a conspiracy, then everybody who is a party to the decision becomes conspirators, and therefore you can't pick and choose out of all the conspirators.
So in other words, sir, this is an effort by the CBI to try and shield the Prime Minister.
No, I am not saying anything of that kind. I am saying that this FIR is not based on facts, and therefore it is not right kind of FIR.
All right, fair enough, sir. I think your silence says it all, but most importantly, the statements that you, Mr. Parakh, have made on how you believe that competent authority refers to none other than the Prime Minister is a very, very important statement. Thanks very much, sir, for joining us with that clarification. Thank you very much indeed. But let's now move on to our big focus, Ashok Khemka, the man the Haryana government, some would say, loves to hate. Khemka has been charge sheeted twice. Does the timing of the charge sheet have something to do with his letter to the CBI that 2 national seed supplying agencies were involved in corruption to the tune of approximately 5 crores? Who is the government trying to shield? Or is the Haryana government continuing with its witch hunt of a man who dared to take on Robert Vadra over his land deals in Haryana? Mr. Khemka, thanks very much for joining us. Sir, are there officers in the state government? Mr. Khemka, do you believe there are officers in the state government you feel are trying to defend the land deals of Robert Vadra by continuing to target you in whichever post you hold?
Vishnu, the views expressed in your channel are purely personal and not that of the government or the department of which I am presently the Director General, that is Archives. Having said that, Vishnu, I think I had submitted a report on May 21st to the government giving my comments to the committee's report, specifically citing in Chapter 6 the land licensing deal of Messrs Skylight Hospitality, of which Mr. Robert Vadra and his mother, Mrs. Maureen Vadra, are directors, and how the colony license, the commercial colony license and the CLUs, that is the state largesse, is used to milk the profits out of which belong to the public and which is nothing but a kind of rentier capitalism. Not only this, in Chapter 4 of my report, I have described the various kind of land scams which were existing and discovered and exposed while working as Director General of Land Records and Consolidation of Holdings. Obviously, some very powerful interests in the politico, business and bureaucratic police interests were hit hard. So it is but obvious that they are going to get back and hit at me in various forms, and this is a gross abuse of their authorities which the Constitution and the public has reposed in them.
No, but sir, I'm asking you a direct question. Sir, I take the larger point you're mentioning, Mr. Khemka, but I'm asking you a specific question. And that question is, are there officers in the Haryana government, specific officers who had something to do with clearing the land deals of Robert Vadra, who continue to hold positions of authority, and these people continue to target you?
That seems probable, and that is very apparent on the face of it.
Mr. Khemka, you must be satisfied that the CBI has today gone ahead with a preliminary inquiry against the 2 national seed supplying agencies, NCCF and NAFED, because it was your letter to the CBI in the first instance which resulted in, how should I put it, your downfall from your last post. You seem to have had lots of these downfalls, sir.
Vishnu, the issue is not only NAFED and NCCF. They were the regional offices of NAFED and NCCF. Now, fortunately, the managing director of NAFED has upheld my contentions in its internal inquiry report and has taken departmental action and forwarded a copy of his inquiry report upholding my contentions in the complaint in a copy addressed to various authorities. That is what I reliably learnt. But it is not only these 2 agencies. These 2 agencies were used as a ruse by the officers who were working in the state, particularly the agriculture department, to actually siphon off these subsidies under the Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana scheme. Now, If you remember Rajiv Gandhi ji, our late Honorable Prime Minister, in his 1985 speech had made a very epiphanious revelation that out of every 1 rupee spent, only 15 paisa reaches the end target. In this case, not even 1 paisa reaches the end target. 100 ka 100 siphon hota hai. And this is not a single transaction. This was going on continuously in 3 years within Haryana Seeds Development Corporation. And this was put a complete stop when I joined the organization, and I think that really ruffled the feathers of some vested interests, and they got at me really badly and viciously to that.
Are these
and
vested interests,
so many references to the
are these
government,
vested interests,
there is absolutely no action on that.
Are these vested interests in NAFED and NCCF, or are these vested interests in the Haryana government? In other words, are there people in the Haryana government who you believe are making money out of this improper acquisition of seeds?
There was a very close nexus consisting of officers from the Agriculture Department, officers from Haryana Seeds Development Corporation, and the regional offices of NAFED and NCCF, that is the National Consumers Cooperative Federation, who were working in close nexus with a particular middleman who had several trading firms floated by several names. So he was basically supplying seeds and using the labels of these agencies to supply seeds to other firms and making huge profits. And these wrongful gains to this middleman, where is it going, is actually the real investigation in this preliminary inquiry, which is registered by the Central Bureau of Investigation after verification of the complaint.
Mr. Khemka, how do you respond to the state government when it says that you did not follow procedure? You should have told them first before telling the CBI.
Well, Vishnu, this complaint is dated 4th March 2013. I go in person to the CBI office on the 5th morning at 10 o'clock. I file the complaint, take a receipt, and immediately the complaint on file is brought to the notice of Mr. Roshan Lal, who is the Principal Secretary of Agriculture. On the 5th itself, the file goes to him. Now, if the state government has any objection to the procedure adopted by me, they should say so in writing. But till date, that is from 5th March 2013, till date, I have not heard from the state government what wrong in the procedure I have committed. I was a complainant as managing director of a company registered under the Companies Act, and the complaint was that there was a case of cheating by 2 central agencies in which the jurisdiction lay completely with the Central Bureau of Investigation.
Sir, last question, because we're going to debate this afterwards. Do you believe the government is trying to keep you in the courts with one charge or the other because the land deals of Mr. Vadra may become an election issue?
Vishnu, what I have reliably heard, that there is a very sinister planning that a series of up to 10 charge sheets will be issued on frivolous grounds against me, and approximately 10 private complaints will be filed in the criminal courts so as to really punish me and to take the energies out of me for daring to file these comments and passing the order on 15th October 2012. Now, this I consider, whatever order I have done, the competent authority or the aggrieved parties could have challenged the order in a court of law. We have the Honorable High Courts and the Honorable Supreme Court. Instead of doing this, this kind of hounding, I think, is going to be very demoralizing to any new entrant into the civil service who wants to serve the country and uphold our dear constitution and the trust which the public reposes upon us to do our duty fairly, conscientiously, and without fear and favor.
Ashok Khemka, thank you so much for speaking to us. We are not going to end this subject right now. We're going to actually debate it. Joining us, Anupam Gupta, Ashok, somebody who's been close to Mr. Khemka, a lawyer who's been following this very, very closely. KTS Tulsi, senior advocate with the Supreme Court. Kiran Bedi with us. And also Pinky Anand, member of the BJP's National Executive. Pinky, let me come to you first. what do you have to say about what Khemka has to say, that this is essentially a witch hunt against him, that they are trying to put 10 charge sheets against him to keep him bogged down?
I'll tell you one thing, Vishnu, I feel very devastated, you know, if somebody who's a bureaucrat and who's a very responsible officer is taking an action which is legitimate in exercise of his powers and challenging the actions of Vadra, rather cancelling it, which could have been by itself subject matter of some issue in any competent court, as Mr. Khemka was saying, becomes a subject matter of a complete witch hunt. Mr. Khemka is right. I mean, what is the purpose of this entire exercise but to hound him? And if you see either of the charge sheets which are being levied against Mr. Khemka, even there is immense doubts. You know, our systems, our criminal justice systems are still fairly delayed and protracted. So you can actually bound somebody over in criminal trials one way or the other so that they are out of circulation.